Top of the morning, everyone, and welcome to the Night Owls and Early Birds, 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific time. I'm Bruce Edwards. It's Wednesday morning, March the 6th, and it looks like it's going to be a very eventful day as we've got some snow, we've got some ice, and we definitely have some severe weather out there and the threat thereof. So we'll be busy, and we'll keep you updated on what's going on. So let's get right down to brass tacks, as they say, and look at the satellite picture. And if you're looking for fair weather, Texas not doing too bad. Oklahoma's okay. Florida Peninsula is in pretty fair shape, and much of California. But beyond that, we're seeing a lot of cloud cover here. We got a lot of moisture moving on into the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley, and some strong thunderstorms here this morning, waking a lot of folks up. And then you get back into the plains, and we got some cold air, and these clouds are producing. Oh, you know what they're producing? They're producing some snow. Now, here's a look at the northeast now. What we have here, rain. That's what we're looking at here. Mainly rain now from around Falmouth, Mass, through Long Island, the New York City metro area, swinging on back towards Pittsburgh and Altoona. Some showery weather here up through the Chesapeake Bay. This is all rain. As you get up towards Holton, Maine, we have some snowfall to contend with. So they continue to work their way on towards the east, as you'll notice, at about 20 to 25. Generally light to occasionally moderate showers occurring at the present time. So once again, you want to be very cautious here as you head on out because the roads are going to be slippery just from the wet weather that's currently in effect. So once again, take it slow, take it easy. Don't overdo it once again as you work your way on out to work this morning. So be very, very cautious. We take a look at the current weather map right now, and as we check that out for you, you can see the situation. You got the front extending from the northeast right on back to low pressure here over the southern plain states, and out ahead of it, warm, moist air. So we're seeing rain and thunderstorms over the southeast. I played a little rain event up towards Massachusetts. Now you get north of that, and you get into down east Maine, around Holton and Portland. There's a little bit of light snow there. Not much of the report of any kind of icing, but you want to be cautious here. Where we have the ice and snow primarily is in the central plains. Is a bitterly cold area of Arctic high pressure is beginning to work its way on south. Now here once again is a close-up of the situation. No reports, I just checked within the last hour, of any kind of freezing rain or drizzle, but you can suspect in some of the valleys we'll find a little bit of ice. But once again, Falmouth down to Long Island and the New York City metro area towards Philly. You get to D.C., you have some showery weather here on down towards Quantico, Virginia. And then you work into West Virginia and back across the Ohio River Valley, particularly in Kentucky and Tennessee, and that's where we get into some heavier rain. Colder air to the north, and we may see a little more in the way of freezing rain and drizzle. We're seeing some of that now around Kansas City, Missouri. We, once again, will take a look at what we've got as far as wet weather in the Ohio Valley, and here's the situation. You know, it's just south of the Ohio River where we're finding most of the rain, even some thunderstorms southern Kentucky through Nashville, Tennessee right now. Just plain old rain around Charleston and Beckley and Bluefield, over towards Cincinnati. There's still rain showers here as you get up towards Springfield, Illinois, and everything is sliding to the east with a heavier weather occurring as we work our way on towards the south. The numbers for you, well, 31 in Boston, not too bad, but again, you're hovering around that freezing line, so you can see some freezing drizzle yet this morning as some of that moisture gets in, and then eventually change over to some rain. You notice that south of the front, New York, it's 45, it is 50 in Philly, 58 in D.C., so quite a temperature contrast. How about Pittsburgh at 42, but Erie down to 28 degrees, 25 Detroit, 38 Cincinnati. So that's about what we're talking about as far as that frontal system is concerned. We look at the numbers across the southeast, and they are balmy. 62 despite heavy rains around Atlanta, 63 in Charleston, 64 Jacksonville, 72 Miami, 71 New Orleans. Now here's your temperature contrast, 64 Dallas, but only 40 in Oklahoma City. And we have that frontal system, and there it is. Once again, one ripple of low pressure moving along the front. It's going to stir things up, Gulf moisture flowing north. And you get to around Montgomery, Alabama, Meridian, Mississippi, and especially as you get up towards Huntsville and Muscle Shoals up to Nashville. Some very heavy rains here, moderate to heavy around Atlanta. Some thunderstorms occurring as you work your way on in towards Greenville and Anderson, South Carolina. And a big chunk of Mississippi and western Alabama is presently under a tornado watch. And as we check out the radar, you can see the heavier storms in south central Kentucky towards Nashville. And again, as we sit around Huntsville, Muscle Shoals, some heavier storms through Birmingham right now towards Atlanta, and other heavy storms around Tuscaloosa, Alabama. A closer look at the Atlanta metro area. You can see individual embedded heavier thunderstorm cells rumbling on through. Everything is taking a northeasterly trek. The northern and western suburbs getting most of the rain. South side of Atlanta so far not looking all that bad. Farther south, though, as you notice, you got Montgomery, some rain here, but the big batch of heavy storms is off to your west, and that continues to work its way on towards the east. We work north of the front. We get into the cold air, and we talk about snowflakes flying from Marquette and Green Bay back towards Minneapolis and then towards Omaha and Lincoln. But around Kansas City and around Ottumwa, Iowa, we have a little freezing rain and drizzle that you have to contend with, and it's not looking very, very pretty here. Here's a look at the snowfall from Minneapolis back towards Huron and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, south into Iowa. Then you get a little ice right around in this area, but mainly we're talking about blowing snow, and it's awfully cold. 22 below International Falls, 3 below in Duluth, 24 Des Moines with 36 in St. Louis, 51 in Lexington, 33 in Indy, 28 for Chicago, and 29 in the best location in the nation, Cleveland, Ohio. The numbers through the west, single digits, and 27 below that Cutbank, Montana. While we look on to the west of that, and high pressure is building in. There's still some snow in the Rockies and a little bit of unsettled weather here across the northeast, or the northwest. But other than that, most of the action is in the south and the central United States. Time now to take a look at your good morning forecast weather maps, and here they go. Once again, we'll see one ripple or low move along the front. Overrunning moisture means a little bit of ice, and then in the colder air, the snow. And ahead of the front, showers and thunderstorms. So again, Boston, some freezing drizzle back towards Albany, a little icy mix towards Buffalo, and even Cleveland and Detroit. South of that, we're looking at plain old rain, especially around D.C. and back in towards West Virginia. Could see some thunderstorms. Maybe an inch or so of snow, but again, the ice is the treacherous stuff. You want to watch out for that. Temperatures there hovering right around freezing. So once again, a little freezing drizzle and rain perhaps to start around, say, Boston to Albany, and then changing over to some rain. Then by tomorrow, it'll be back to snow as you get that colder air once again sweeping through. The south will be volatile. Showers and thunderstorms, some strong to severe through the mid-south and the central Gulf states. Florida's looking okay for today. You will see the unsettled weather slide your way tomorrow. But at least an inch of rain falling in this area. In some areas, we'll see even more than that. But again, that threat for severe weather. With numbers warm, that's for sure. That's the good news. 80s into Florida. Look at that. Even a few 90s around the gallon. Texas. Cold Arctic air spills south. We'll see snowing and blowing weather here. A little bit of ice possible in Chicago, changing over to plain old snow. And as the winds come off Lake Michigan out of the northeast, we'll see around old Milwaukee and Sheboygan some 3 to 6 inches of snow, perhaps, or a bit more. With the numbers, there you have it. Single digits and teens for highs. 20s to Chicago and Detroit. 30s around Cleveland. And then you work your way into the Ohio Valley south of the front, and it gets much, much milder. Stay tuned. We'll check the ski slopes for you, plus the extended outlook in just a few minutes.
Ow! I feel good. I knew that I would. I feel good.
Senecot natural vegetable laxatives work like second nature, overnight.
So good.
Now for children, there's delicious chocolatey Senecot Children's Syrup. It's alcohol-free.
I feel nice.
Make your family feel Senecot good.
Feel good and fine. I feel nice.
This just in, WKTL Weather Watch reports a possibility of snow today.
Next time, check the Weather Channel for early warnings on weather conditions 24 hours a day. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel.
The irresistible taste of fresh, ripe jalapenos. Now available in liquid form. There's been a mild breakthrough in pepper sauce from the makers of Tabasco.
Hey, if we just follow the, I'm sure you're lost, aren't you? We're lost. Do you have any idea where we're going? Yeah, we're right. It wasn't a highway, it was a ketchup stain.
Where are more and more people taking their rugged off-road vehicles these days?
We're close. This is looking real good. We're here.
The Audi A6 Quattro. With Quattro all-wheel drive and all the comforts of a German luxury car, it's where more and more 4x4 owners are heading every day.
Test drive an Audi today. For the nearest dealer, call 1-800-4AUDI.
Well, it's been a wonderful ski season over the Northeast, and it continues to go on as we work our way deep into March, well, at least the early part of March so far. We see that yesterday, Sugar Bush, Vermont picked up 8 inches of fresh powder, Hunter Mountain another inch of snow as we get the cold air working through the region. So once again, we continue to replenish the slopes a bit. Killington, Vermont, looking at 6 inches of new powder, an inch at Boyne Mountain, Michigan, and we'll find powder to packed powder conditions at most of the resorts. And there'll be more snow forthcoming in the next 24 hours, mainly 1 to 3 over New England, a little heavier as you get into Michigan as we get the storm system to move through. But then that snow will continue to work its way with the cold air into the Northeast Thursday. So additional snowfall will be found here on Thursday, into Friday as well, especially up at the resort levels. So the good news is there'll be more fresh powder coming your way. The not so good news is that it's going to be very, very cold and very, very windy, especially as we work in towards the weekend. So factor that into your weekend skiing plans. Now let's update you on a few other resort reports.
Championship course has challenged precedents. Her courts and pools and cuisine have drawn royalty from screen and stage. Her mountain sunsets have inspired authors and playwrights and lovers. For over 8 decades, she has pleased the most discerning of visitors. Now we think we're ready for you.
Working toward the weekend? Watch the Weekend Outlook to find out what the temperatures will be and if there's a chance of rain. Only on the Weather Channel.
Next time, call ahead. Call the Weather Channel. Call 1-900-WEATHER. 95 cents a minute. Complete weather information for over 900 cities.
As America rushes off to work,
Gonna make it.
a little girl waits. As we check our watches to see if it's time for lunch,
I'll meet you in 10 minutes.
a little girl waits.
I can't believe it cost that.
As we gripe about the cost of prescriptions, a little girl waits.
Most all of the threats to
And as we watch news footage of children by the thousands dying of hunger and disease and think the problem's too big, what can I do? A little girl like this waits and hopes. She hopes that someone like you will realize that even though you can't save the world, you can save one child. It takes just $21 a month through Christian Children's Fund. Please call. CCF is the world's oldest and most respected child sponsorship organization. Call the number on your screen, and we'll send you the picture and story of one child you can sponsor. One child you can save.
about the weather around the world and around your neighborhood. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
18 past the hour, off we go into the wild blue yonder, checking aviation weather. And the satellite composite with the satellite in the front shows our frontal system stretched from New England back to the south. Warm, moist air ahead of it with volatile weather, very stormy weather from Mississippi, Alabama to Georgia, Tennessee, and on into Kentucky. North of the front, well, we have a lot of snow here. A little bit of icing also reported around Kansas City and around Ottumwa, Iowa. Some snow back into the Rockies and high pressure building in, so things are quieting down. It's going to be pretty quiet across the west over the next few days. This morning, the restrictions to flight, as you see in the red triangle, is the IFR conditions due to rain and low clouds from the northeast back to the Ohio Valley, and also some fog along the Gulf Coast. And the restrictions also MDFR listed in the blue. Topside winds 5,000 feet. We find the strongest core from around Louisville, Kentucky to Erie, Pennsylvania at 60 to 80 knots through that region, so a pretty strong southwest to northeast flow. Up at 10,000 feet, strongest core across New York State back in towards Boston. We're heading winds at about 60 to 80 knots once again, and up where the big boys fly. We're finding strong core of winds coming into California and over the Great Lakes into the northeast, with winds here at about 120 to 140 knots. Now, pilots, don't forget, get a pre-briefing before takeoff. And stay tuned. We'll be taking off for the next 5 days next.
Want to remove plaque and its germs? Check out new Mint Sensation Plaques, a minty cool way to remove more plaque before you brush. For a sensational clean, even your dentist can see. Remove plaque and germs with new Mint Sensation Plaques.
Land Rover Discoveries frequently come home slightly more soiled than ordinary cars. But they still get washed exactly the same way. With soap and water.
There are those among us with very simple tastes. They only want the best. And for them, there's Fancy Feast gourmet cat food. Exceptionally moist and delicious. Fancy Feast. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Fancy Feast gourmet cat food. Good taste is easy to recognize.
Weather update. A little breezy today, so wear a light jacket.
Next time, check the Weather Channel. Our severe weather watch tracks storms with the most advanced satellite technology available. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. It's 20 past the hour. I'm Bruce Edwards. Time to look at the next 5 days of weather coming your way, and we're going to see some dramatic changes over just about the entire country. But we look at this morning's weather, and so far, no airport delays reported. But if you're flying into the northeast, there are low clouds and wet weather in New York City, Providence, Hartford, into towards Philly, so there could be some delays there, as well as D.C. You work your way on into the midsection, rain in Pittsburgh, and into the Ohio Valley in the south, so we may see some delays around Atlanta, for example, or perhaps Birmingham, Montgomery. And as we work to the west, things are improving here, so we're not anticipating any real delays. But I tell you, we got everything's shaping up in the south to be a southern-style clash of the air masses as we get cold Arctic air mass moving south, and we're seeing warm, moist air coming up from the south, and that's with 60-degree dew points. So we've got moisture, we've got cold air, contrasted air masses, and that energy, and what happens is the dry air punches in from the southwest with dew points less than 30, and this moisture continues to lift. And with the clash of the air masses, we're seeing these strong to severe thunderstorms. And then you get another upper-level disturbance rotating around the trough, and that will help ignite the strong to severe storms across the southern plains and working their way into the southeast once again today. But in the next 5 days, the Arctic chill returns. That's right, the groundhog so far is batting 1,000. Strong ridge in the west with a big deep trough in the east. The old Siberian Express races south. And look at these temperature contrasts. Should be about 73 today in Nashville. High on Friday, about 28. Atlanta, 71 for a high today. Wet, 38 for a high on Saturday. And as you can see, 80 in New Orleans to 47 on Friday. 81 in Jacksonville to 53 on Friday. So a significant cool down in the east. But big changes also in the west. If you like it warm and dry, that's what we're going to see as the high pressure builds in. and we're going to see no precipitation. And as you get the sinking air, we're going to be talking about it warming, and we're talking lots of 90s and 80s into the interior valleys of the west, 70s up into north central California. So it's going to be a warm one. So here are all the elements. There's the high pressure building in. It's going to keep it quiet here, with the cold Arctic air plunging south, the warm air coming from the Gulf, and then the ripples of low pressure. That's going to be triggering the showers and the thunderstorms here today, some of which could be strong to severe. While to the north of this front, you get the overrunning moisture, and where temperatures hover right around freezing. That's where you can see some freezing rain and drizzle. To the north of that, snow, and that'll continue on through tomorrow morning. Now, the significant moisture here, Ohio Valley, south of the Gulf, at least an inch of rain, if not several inches here, and flash flood washes out over portions of Ohio because of the soggy conditions. Snowfall will be heaviest from near St. Louis and up towards Kirksville and on into Springfield, Illinois. Could see it upwards of 6 inches or so of snow here, and that will be expanding to the north and east as we go through the next couple of days. You can see that balmy air we spoke of through the south today, and the much colder air under the northern plains, with lows dropping 10 to 15 below zero on the Canadian border tomorrow morning, while it stays mild here. And then here it comes, the express chugging on down south, and we'll see significant changes here. Very cold air working its way to the south Friday and Saturday, while we have very warm air over the southwest, as you'll note. So yeah, it looks like an end to the old little honeymoon here. By Sunday and towards Monday, temperatures will start to slowly modify. As far as precipitation now, with that system edging to the east, and with the threat for strong to severe storms moves from the mid-south into the southeast tomorrow and along the coast. Heavy snow is possible into the Great Lakes, not into northern New England. And as the system churns on to the north, we'll see it snowing and blowing on Friday here. With generally quiet weather and with high pressure, that always means valley fog on the west, so that could present some problems as well. Then on Saturday, we see some showers in Florida because we're watching potential low pressure developing here, but strong Arctic high pressure is going to dominate the country with some flurries and windy weather here. And then on Sunday, we'll see a little bit of wet weather possible also over the southeast and the northwest. Finally, the ridge will break down a little bit, and we'll see some wet weather moving in. Check the weather for the school kids right after this.
Actually, Abercrombie & Kent isn't in the business of travel at all. We're really in the business of satisfying people's dreams. When people travel, their first worry is always safety. Our job is to make sure that our travelers are safe. You throw the shackles off, you get rid of your suit, you get rid of your car, and you're off into the unknown. Travel gives you, I suppose, the power of knowledge. I think our customers travel with the American Express card because they're experienced and they know that it'll be accepted in all the areas of the world. It gives them the security they need when they venture off the path that they know.
It's now time for the school day forecast, sponsored by Quaker Oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do. We look at the national radar, make sure the kids are ready for some unsettled weather. We see these showers and storms from the Ohio River into the deep south, and some of these can be moderate to heavy, and with tornado watches over portions of Mississippi, Alabama, and east of that right now. Rainy weather here. What we find here, mainly some snow from the Rockies on into the Great Lakes, a little patchy freezing rain and drizzle in spots. So real unsettled for the kids today, and for the drivers as well. Got to be careful out there. Visibility is restricted on the road, so make sure the kids are geared up with the galoshes, the raincoats, the umbrellas, the hats, because it's going to be very wet here. And then as you get to the north, we'll still talk about wintry weather with a little icy mix. That's what you want to be careful of here. Snowy weather and blowing and drifting snow, and very cold temperatures across the northern and central plain states as the Arctic Express heads south. So make sure the kids are bundled up well. It'll be mild here underneath the raincoats, just a sweater, and the kids ought to feel very comfortable. Stay tuned. We'll update that severe weather for you next.
David, wake up. 21 years from now, David will be 6'2" and weigh 210 pounds. He will lead the NFL in rushing with 2,272 yards.
David!
And he will have eaten 3,486 bowls of warm, nutritious, instant Quaker oatmeal. Mostly apples and cinnamon. When he is honored as Player of the Year, he'll make a short speech in which he'll say,
"Thanks, Mom."
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
We could really use a vacation. Getting our feet wet! There's something different!
really use a vacation.
Where I live life instead of just reading about it.
Discover the continent of Puerto Rico. Pristine beaches, 500 years of history, and an unforgettable vacation. Only Puerto Rico puts it all within your reach.
Working toward the weekend? Watch The Weekend Outlook to find out what the temperatures will be and if there's a chance of rain. Only on the Weather Channel. And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel.
Good Wednesday morning, everyone. It's half past the hour. I'm Bruce Edwards. Thanks for joining us on what promises to be a rather volatile Wednesday with a little bit of everything. I call it meteorological goulash. We'll talk about some snow. We'll talk about ice, wind, bitterly cold temperatures. And on the other hand, we'll talk about warm air, about moist air, a lot of rain, and also some strong to severe thunderstorms. There's a new tornado watch has been issued, and we'll show you that in just a couple of minutes. Let's get down to brass tacks. As they say, we check out the satellite picture. First of all, see the brighter, whiter clouds here? From the Ohio Valley south is where we're seeing the shower and the embedded heavy thunderstorms that are rumbling this morning, waking a few folks up. Clouds overspreading New England, a little snow to the north, and then rain as we get into southern New England, back into the Ohio Valley. Underneath these clouds, we're seeing a little bit of snow, a little upper level system that's dropping on through, and that's going to help enhance the stormy weather as we have that storm system sliding to the east over the next couple of days. Here we go. Current weather map, there you have it. You see the frontal system. There's one ripple of low pressure, another ripple of energy, and here's the third coming through. And these, as they chug along the train track, just stir things up. Again, triggers some of the showers and the thunderstorms in the areas. And again, we're seeing mainly some snow here across down east Maine into southern New Hampshire. Boston reporting just some clouds during the last hour, but south of it around Falmouth, we got some rain out through the Cape, and then again into Providence and Hartford, New York City, Long Island, wet weather here. A little patchy ice possible, especially in the valleys around the Catskills. You want to be careful of here. A little freezing rain and drizzle. Be especially careful on bridges and overpasses. But generally, we're looking at wet weather on south towards D.C., Baltimore, Patuxent River, on into Charleston and Bluefield, Beckley, West Virginia, to southern Ohio. And then as you get the winds whipping around here off the lakes and the colder air, a few snow flurries northeastern Ohio to contend with this morning. So we've got it all here, but be especially cautious of the ice. Here's the situation now on the radar. What we see here is all the rain. You see it extending right on back through here. Mainly rain showers on down towards the upper Chesapeake Bay. Not bad over the Tidewater right now, but rain coming your way. You see it all through West Virginia, and everything's heading to the east at 25 to 30 miles per hour. We look farther to the west of the Ohio Valley, you notice the color changes into Kentucky and Tennessee. Darker greens, yellows popping up, even some reds. Those are the embedded thunderstorms indicated on radar, and you see them moving through, well, south central around Frankfort, Kentucky, and over towards Lexington, some moderate rains. You work your way down towards Knoxville, Tennessee, some heavier storms through Nashville, some pretty good-sized storm cells. They're all sliding to the east at about 25 to 30 as well. The numbers to really tell the story here, where you're on the transition line, places like Boston and Albany. 31 Boston, 28 Albany, but then you get south of where that front is. Look at how much milder. That's why we're talking plain old rain here. In New York at 45, 58 in D.C. How about this? Where's our front? Right about Sharon, Pennsylvania, because north in Erie it's 28, south in Pittsburgh it's 42. And you can see the front right on through here. Detroit's 25, Cincinnati is at 38. Most everyone through the deep south is warm, as you notice, 60s and 70s overall. Nashville thunderstorms keeping you at 55 right now, but here is where our frontal system is. Oklahoma City's 40, Dallas is at 64, so we've got warm air, we've got increasing moisture and juicy air here flowing in from the Gulf, so that's adding fuel to the fires, and as you get these ripples of low pressure along the front, that stirs things up even more. Right now, some heavier thunderstorms from Meridian, Mississippi, approaching Montgomery up to Birmingham, Huntsville, Chattanooga, heavy thunderstorms. Moderate rains around Atlanta up towards Athens, some heavy rains to Anderson and Greenville up to Asheville. So very intense rain here. And here are our tornado watches. Now, this one here in the Mississippi is scheduled to expire in a short time from now, but they've extended the tornado watch with a new area over central Alabama, leaking into west central Georgia. And that's into effect until later on this morning. So again, and this will continue to edge its way east as the stormy weather does over the next really 24 hours or so. You can see the heavier storms in Alabama now near Montgomery and on up towards Birmingham and heading on north towards Huntsville and Muscle Shoals. And then from Nashville into the Cumberland Plateau, some moderate to heavy rains. And you work towards the Atlanta area and up towards the southern Appalachians, and there is your wet weather. We'll zero in on the Atlanta, Georgia metro area for those getting their start to work this morning. You see up to the north around Cobb and Cherokee County, right along I-75, some heavier cells here. We see another one coming up across I-20, moving right across the city towards Stone Mountain now. And there's more where that came from around Anniston, another batch here. And everything is generally moving to the east-northeast at 25 to 30. So occasional heavy downpours. The roads are wet. There are big puddles out there, so slow it down on your way to work this morning. Get there a couple minutes late or leave early and get there safely without adding to the income of your local fender shop. Here's the situation. Montgomery, you see the heavier storms here. This is the area that's under the tornado watch, so you want to be cautious here. Overrunning moisture, and then we get into a little bit of the icy stuff around Kansas City towards Ottumwa, Iowa, extending on in towards Quincy, Illinois. Be careful of that. And then north of that into the colder Arctic air, we're talking about snowfall. And here we're getting the winds generally out of the east-northeast. So that means snow belt areas around Milwaukee and Sheboygan and on up eastern sections of Wisconsin. We see significant snow. Right now, Minneapolis down to Des Moines, to Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska, Sioux Falls, we have the snowfall to contend with this morning. And there you can see it streaking across Wisconsin to Minneapolis, over to Huron and Pierre and Sioux Falls, and then south through much of Iowa with patchy freezing drizzle on the southern extremities here down towards Kansas City and Topeka, and then some plain old snowfall as you work your way back towards the foothills of the Rockies. The numbers here are pretty cold and going to get colder. 22 below International Falls, 3 below Duluth, 10 above in Minneapolis, but we're really not yet gotten the coldest of the Arctic air to slide on south. It's 28 in Chicago, 29 in the best location of the nation, Cleveland, Ohio, but 51 despite the rain in Lexington, 36 in St. Louis, 34 in Kansas City with some of that freezing drizzle. 27 below in Cutbank, as you'll note, 45 San Francisco, 48 in L.A., but things are quieting down as high pressure is beginning to nudge on in. A little snow in the Cascades, a few showers from Seattle south to Portland, but things will be improving as that high builds in for the next several days across the western United States. There you can see on the radar a little of that spotty moisture. That will be easing up a bit as we work through the day today. So there you have it, the current weather map all in one big piece. Now with a look at your forecast, let's put the weather maps in motion. And as the lows ripple along the front, it stirs things up. Warm, moist air here, cold Arctic air here. The clash of the air masses means potentially severe weather. Watch out for the ice, say Boston to Albany to Binghamton. That's the transition area. South of that, New York City Metro and on down the I-95 corridor. We'll talk about mainly rain. Moderate rains to occasionally heavy and a few thunderstorms. Could see ½ inch to an inch of rain here. An inch or so of snow, but it's the icy spots that you want to be careful of. Boston, you'll gradually change over to some rain later on today as you get some milder air moving in, but then tomorrow as the cold air sweeps back in, we'll talk about snow. Temperatures range from the 20s here to the 70s around Norfolk, Virginia. It'll be warm. That's The silver lining across the south, but warm and volatile. We're talking about rain and thunderstorms here, some of which can be strong to severe, potentially producing tornadoes, Mississippi, Alabama, into Georgia. While the Florida Peninsula is looking pretty good here today for Pro-Am activity down in Fort Lauderdale at the TPC course. But here you go. There's your heavy rain, an inch or more here with strong to severe storms of threat. Temperatures mainly 70s and 80s, even a 90 or so around Laredo, but north of the front, highs only in the 40s or 30s as you get into northern Oklahoma. A cold, blustery day with occasional snowfall here, and at times some of the snow could get a little heavier, especially as we mentioned around Milwaukee and on up towards the Lake Michigan shoreline. Could see 3 to 6 inches of snow here, with temperatures very, very cold today, and winds are going to make it feel even colder. We see single digits and teens for highs, and as we check temperatures heading into the weekend, look at this cold air spilling on to the south while the ridge builds and things heat up as we work through this weekend in the west. Stay tuned. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, we check out weather in Europe.
It was about innovation. It was about elegance. It was about convenience. It was about service. It was about dependability. It still is. The employee owners of TWA. We're up to something good in Europe and our over 80 destinations around the world.
This just in, WKTO Weather Watch reports a possibility of snow today.
Next time, check the Weather Channel for early warnings on weather conditions 24 hours a day. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel. Take a good look through Transitions lenses. The lightweight plastic prescription lenses with a special tint that lightens and darkens as the light changes. Lightweight plastic lenses that darken and lighten just like that. It's comfort you can see, day or night, outside or inside. Ask for Transitions lenses.
Call 1-800-680-6700 for the Transitions Lenses Eye Care professional near you.
Fibercon or Metamucil. Both give you the same predictable regularity, the same natural action of fiber. So what makes Fibercon different? With Fibercon, I get my fiber in 2 caplets. Fibercon, fiber regularity that's easier to take.
They destroy your home from within. Termites. You lead the exterminator, the Orkin Man. He stops termites and makes sure they never return. Guaranteed. Call him day or night at 1-800-800-ORKIN.
Watch international weather now 42 minutes after every hour. Only on the Weather Channel.
Good morning. It's time now for a look at international weather. We'll show you what's going on over in Europe. And not too bad right now. We're looking at temperatures basically about seasonal for this time of the year. It's mostly dry, too. Early this morning, we're looking at a couple of more rain and snow showers beginning to move across Germany into Poland. Also looking at some more light snow in Russia. Looks like by midday tomorrow, though, good chance of more light snowfall in Russia, at least the western parts anyway. And most of the rest of Europe is going to be on the dry side. Maybe some showers beginning to spin around in this area, low pressure near the western Mediterranean, and also beginning to skirt over eastern Spain by late tomorrow. Look at these temperatures now. Not bad at all. 20s, 30s, and 40s. Looking at some 60s, even some 70s now in southern Spain. Things are beginning to warm up at this time across Europe. In Athens tomorrow, it's going to be cloudy, about 55 degrees. Frankfurt, sunshine tomorrow, the upper 30s. In Stockholm, nothing but cloud cover and temperatures in the upper 20s. We're going to check on the latest weather across the southeastern part of the country. Severe weather likely there through late tonight.
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
Have you heard the most recent news about those oats? Well, if you've been watching TV or reading the papers lately, you could hardly miss it. Clinical research shows that diets low in saturated fat and cholesterol and high in sources of fiber like Quaker oatmeal may help reduce the risk of heart disease. You've always known it was good for you, but it may be even better than you thought, which is why Quaker says,
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
1-900-WEATHER, 95 cents a minute. One call gets complete weather information for over 900 cities.
Why do I keep feeling like this? Why don't I get over it? I can't take this anymore. What is it? And what does it mean?
Are you troubled by feelings you can't explain? The answer is just a phone call away.
The future, what does it hold for you? Will you do the right thing? Will you make the right choice? Hello, sweet spirits. I'm Kenny Kingston. The psychics on my hotline are there to help you take control of your destiny.
I never thought about calling a psychic before, but I really needed some help in making a big decision, and that's why I called Kenny's Psychic Hotline. He helped me so much.
If you really want to make changes in your life, call Kenny's Psychic Hotline, because they give you the information that you really need.
All it takes is one phone call to the Kenny Kingston Psychic Hotline.
My psychics are there to help you make your wishes and your dreams become a reality. Don't wait, please. Make that telephone call now.
about the weather around the world and around your neighborhood. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
This Traveler's Update this morning is sponsored by Audi. For the name of your nearest Audi dealer, call 1-800-4AUDI. We'll show you what's going on this morning. First of all, with the radar, a lot of heavy rainfall, severe thunderstorms. The whole ball of wax beginning to gel right now over the southeastern part of the country. And a lot more rain to come, too, if you live in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, and across much of the Tennessee Valley. Could be some locally heavy rainfall here. There's going to be some heavy rainfall and some localized flooding right through early morning tomorrow. The threat of severe thunderstorms today is going to be extensive. It's going to be widespread all the way from Louisiana, heading up towards Kentucky and Tennessee, to around Richmond and Virginia. Already this morning we have a couple of tornado watches out, and they do cover a good chunk of Mississippi, Alabama, now in the extreme west central Georgia too. Watch out for more rainfall here. It's going to be spreading on towards the north. If you live in Ohio, also in western Pennsylvania, could be looking at some localized flooding there. Flood watches are in effect, and watch out for the snow. It's going to be piling up tonight from the Midwest into central New England.
Okay, if we just follow the, I'm sure you're lost, aren't you? We're lost. Do you have any idea where we're going? Yeah, we're right. It wasn't a highway, it was a ketchup stain.
Where are more and more people taking their rugged off-road vehicles these days?
We're close. This is looking real good. We're here.
The Audi A6 Quattro, with Quattro all-wheel drive and all the comforts of a German luxury car. It's where more and more 4x4 owners are heading every day.
Test drive an Audi today. For the nearest dealer, call 1-800-4AUDI.
21 years from now, 3,486 bowls of instant Quaker oatmeal later, David will be honored as NFL Player of the Year. In a short speech, he will say,
"Thanks, Mom."
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
It's time once again for a look at our winter storm update, and we'll be looking at some severe thunderstorms, some heavier snow developing during the next 24 hours. So we're looking at a real wintry mess now with spring kind of light conditions throughout the southeast, severe thunderstorms there, and this snow is going to begin to pile up from the plain states into the Midwest. And this ribbon of snowfall right here will begin to work its way on towards the east, so more snow likely for New England during the next 24 hours. But the big concern during the last 12 hours or so has been the very heavy rainfall and the severe thunderstorms from Arkansas into Mississippi and now into parts of Alabama too. And it looks like the heavy rainfall around Atlanta is going to be lasting for several more hours. It looks like the stronger storms in the southeast may be occurring tonight once we watch for an area low pressure developing over the southern plains. And as that begins to work its way on towards the east, this is going to be a prime area again tonight for more strong to severe thunderstorms. Right now, through midnight at least, we're looking at this area shaded in darker red. For the zone, we're looking at the best chance of looking at some more severe weather. And already this morning, we have these watches out. These are tornado watches. They cover a large chunk of Mississippi, Alabama, extreme west central portions of Georgia at this time through later on this morning. Probably more will be extended to the north and east a little bit later on than that. As you look at our rainy travel, it's going to be extensive as well, from New Orleans to Jackson to Atlanta to Birmingham, up towards Columbus, Ohio. Looking at some flood watches out now for southern Ohio and the western Pennsylvania. The ground is saturated. There's going to be rain coming on board. And then tomorrow, you're back to snow. So it's going to be a real icy mess across much of the upper Ohio Valley and spreading into New England too. How much rain may fall during the next 24 hours? Well, locally, 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. Some spots have already received that across Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and much more to come during the next 24 hours. Locally, 3, 4, 5 inches of rainfall, maybe even more than that, could be in the offing during the next day or two. Off to the north we go. This is where the colder weather is setting up shop, and watch out for the snow beginning to fly here. Looking at light snow now across much of Wisconsin, also Minnesota and Iowa too. Looks like our heavier band of snow is going to be setting up somewhere over central Missouri and just south of Chicagoland during the next 24 hours, and then beginning to move its way into the northeast too. So wintry travel coming up today. This is where it's going to be, developing from the plain states across the Middle West, Detroit and Troy, Michigan, and Kalamazoo. You're back into some more wintry weather, and also the same thing is going to be developing throughout the north too. Yesterday we saw a lot of warming developing on northward. That caused the rain around, the snow around Boston to become rain. Looks like freezing rain is going to be in the picture, then just plain snow
as you look at later tonight and tomorrow as that cold air begins to sink on southward. Places today that are looking at the 70s could be looking at snowfall tomorrow throughout the southern plains and very gusty northwesterly winds. It's going to be a major cool down for the southeast. Take a look at these winds today. Rather extensive now from California all the way to New Jersey and New York State. And during the next 24 to 48 hours, here comes the deep freeze one more time. A strong ridge of high pressure throughout the west is going to send that Arctic air beginning to move its way southward. Just a major surge on southward with a deepening trough throughout the eastern part of the country. Last 24 hours, we've seen this. High temperatures well below normal for this time of the year throughout the north. And this morning running between 25 and 30 degrees below zero. The actual numbers across much of Montana into northern Minnesota. And we're looking at the wind chills about the similar states right now, down to 35 below in Great Falls, Montana. We'll put your Weather Channel maps in motion. Here's your rain over the southeast. It's going to become rather extensive during the next 24 hours, and that rain will be on the heavy side. We're going to check on your weekend weather picture right now. You talk about a weather change. Wait until you see this. This weekend outlook is sponsored by Pearl Vision because nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl. Single numbers and teens and 20s for highs will cover a large chunk of the upper Midwest. We're talking about Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, Madison, Minneapolis to Bismarck, North Dakota. And you can see those 70s today over the southeastern part of the country give way to 50s and 60s tomorrow. Then the big surge hits down into the southeast and over much of the eastern seaboard. Teens, 20s and 30s and 40s. You'll be struggling to reach the upper 40s in northern Florida on Saturday afternoon. And it looks like for a couple of days, stuck in the 30s around Atlanta, Georgia, and Birmingham, Alabama. Slight moderation by Sunday. Heavy snowfall tomorrow could be found from Buffalo to around Detroit, maybe Toledo. Severe thunderstorms along the eastern seaboard, especially in the Carolinas. Windy and cold weather on Friday, diminishing wind on Saturday, and then much of the country is going to be quiet for your Sunday. Our look at our Traveler's Update is coming up next.
Of all the things around you that can hurt your eyes, there's one you probably don't think too much about. But working at a computer every day can cause a number of vision problems. The solution may be as simple as changing the position or the color of your monitor. Your Pearl Eye Care professional can also help with glasses specially made to reduce eye strain. Seeing comfortably, that's the key.
Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
It's a great time to be silver because you're over 50 and you haven't lost your edge. Now there's a Centrum made just for you. Centrum Silver for your changing nutritional needs. Centrum Silver. It's a great time to be silver.
Ow! I feel good. So good. So good.
Senecot laxative tablets work like second nature overnight.
I feel nice. Like
Working toward the weekend? Watch the Weekend Outlook to find out what the temperatures will be and if there's a chance of rain. Only on the Weather Channel.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Severe thunderstorms, that's going to be the big story today over the southeastern corner of the country, and it's going to cover a large section of the southeast, too, right through later on tonight. Here's our zone for looking at severe thunderstorms today, right through later on this evening. Already this morning, we are looking at a couple of tornado watches. They cover a large portion of Mississippi and Alabama, and extreme west central Georgia right now is under a tornado watch. Watch out for more rainy skies here. Could be some localized flooding developing over Ohio, western Pennsylvania, and don't count out the southeast either. A lot of rainfall already from Birmingham to Atlanta, and much more to come. Off to the north we go. We'll pick up the snow right through later tonight and tomorrow. It's going to be shifting on southward. Some spots that are looking at balmy weather today will be looking at some snowfall tomorrow as the storm begins to shift its way on towards the east. The latest on our severe weather is coming up next at the top of the hour. That'll be with Jim Cantore. He'll be looking at some impressive radars over the southeast.
Presenting the ultimate tire for your sport utility vehicle, the Michelin LTX. Michelin's technological advances in sidewall and tread design give it a smoother, quieter ride than you might ever expect from a 4x4 tire. Yet it's rugged enough, tough enough, Michelin enough to get you through anything. The LTX series from Michelin.
Buy
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
Honey, I'm home.
Does Rose have a fever or a sore throat?
No.
Then why get medicine for symptoms he doesn't have?
Triaminic has specialized formulas, so your child gets just the medicine he needs.
Honey, I'm home.
Triaminic, just the medicine they need.
There's a smile in every Hershey bar.
And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel. Scope of coverage you won't find anywhere else. This is Weather Scope This Morning, sponsored by 100% Colombian coffee.
This is a special edition of Weather Scope. Coverage of severe weather 96.
Good morning. We're live in the Weather Channel Forecast Center as we continue to update you on the latest winter storm. This time of the year, though, you got to remember it's not only winter weather, snow and ice, but we also add severe weather in the mix because of the warm Gulf water starting to pull northward, and of course the clash of the air masses getting even greater. So that's what we're discussing this morning. 4 facets of this particular storm, and it will take until Friday afternoon before we are done with all of them. Let's look at the current map this morning. We'll try and set this up for you, and you can see exactly what we have on the current analysis this morning. Again, rain, heavy rain across the south to the north. We have all this snow, and in the middle, we have the ice. Down to the south, there have been a couple of lines of severe thunderstorms. Already this morning, some damage being reported in Dallas County, Alabama, with some large hail and wind damage there. Franklin County got nailed last night. Now, these areas are west of Montgomery and Tuscaloosa, but Franklin County reporting trees and power lines down. Look at the radar. Again, all snow to the north. This is all rain down to the southeast, and even a little freezing rain up into parts of New England. But a wet rush hour for you this morning in New York City and Boston. You're going to have to wait until the second phase of this storm scenario takes up before you start to get into the heavy precipitation. Again, in the south, bands of strong thunderstorms, one back in Mississippi right now, another one moving through Georgia, and there have been reports of severe weather, as we mentioned. You can see the development on the clouds, one area down and through here, where the air is diverging aloft. Also, we're starting to see some cells developing across northwest Mississippi. Those could also go severe, so we are watching a couple of areas for you. And what I think is so dramatic about this is just phase 1. We haven't even gotten to the Gucci of the storm yet, which is going to come on in tonight. Notice again, this is the Doppler radar out of Alabama. You can see the heavy rain down to the south around Montgomery, and this is all pulling into Georgia around Annen and Atlanta. The rain is not over in Atlanta yet, and off to the north and west you can see these other lines of thunderstorms that are developing across northwest Alabama to push into Centerville, Tuscaloosa, and also into Rome, Georgia as well. Lightning data shows it even better. You can see the first line which has come on through, the second line across southern Alabama, and the next one which is just starting to develop back in Virginia. That will probably be the last one until this afternoon and tonight, and that's when more energy starts to come out of Colorado and Texas and starts to develop a whole new area of low pressure. Recent lightning strokes again, Montgomery up and through Birmingham over to Annen, and the first wave, as I mentioned, moved through Atlanta, but it is not over yet. These are current tornado watches, which are posted through late morning. Now, some of this is being trimmed back now, but still, we do have current watches out. If you don't have the severe or the thunder or the lightning, you've got the heavy rain. Up through the Tennessee Valley into Kentucky, flood watch is posted for tonight. Not so much from the rain that's falling now, but what we think is going to fall as we get this next wave of low pressure that is going to develop. So not only that, watch out for heavy rain and severe weather through midnight tonight, because it looks like a pretty good potential for that to arrive. And we are talking about the potential for large hail, damaging winds, strong gusty winds, and even, of course, the possibility of some flooding. Look at the rain that's fallen across the south, folks, into Alabama, into northern Alabama, southern Tennessee, the Tennessee Valley, even into Kentucky. These are 3 to 4 inch rainfalls in the last 24 hours, and they continue to obviously cause some problems, and there is more to come. This is going to be like 1 to 3 inches plus here, so, you know, all the areas that have gotten it already will continue to get it again. Again, look at the current map. Another facet of this storm is the snow, which continues to come on down. You can see the snow breaking out here in the plains, and it looks like some of this could actually get heavy this afternoon from St. Louis up to Chicago, into Detroit, Cleveland. You could look at some heavy snow as well, and we could be talking about a heavy wet snow. So trees and power lines, obviously, we'll have to keep an eye on this, and you can see the area, too, that we're watching for the ice, which is right in through here. Let me show you what this snow looked like when it came down back in Rapid City, where it's starting to end now, and they're just dealing with 10 to 30 mile per hour winds. Very, very gusty winds, too. We're talking about 10 to 30 degree below zero wind chills. About 2 to 8 inches have already fallen on the ground, and it was cold. Temperature only 12 degrees when the snow came down yesterday. This morning, again, folks, it is the wind, it is the blowing and the drifting snow. Wind chills at 10 to 30 degrees below zero as winds are howling out of the northeast at about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Let's go back and show you where this snowy travel is going to go today. And you can see here through Wednesday night, and some of this is going to get heavy. Again, as I mentioned, St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland. You may start out as a mix, but it looks like you're going to change over to snow before things are all said and done. Heaviest snow through tomorrow morning, St. Louis on up towards Springfield and into Fort Wayne. That's where we could see 3 to 12 inches of snow. And then during the day on Thursday, our snow will expand from Cleveland on into New York State and into New England, in which it too will be locally heavy. Now, folks, again, this is just the first phase of this storm. The first one we're dealing with this morning is here. The next one is associated with this upper level disturbance, and as it moves out of the mountains today, we will see a low pressure develop in West Texas, and it will be this one that will move up and through. So here it is. The Wednesday afternoon, this will be the new area of low pressure. Watch what happens as it moves into Thursday morning and also on in toward Thursday afternoon. Of course, behind that, we are talking about some unbelievable cold air through Friday and Saturday, unseasonably cold right in through your weekend here. So some amazing events here going on with this particular storm, and as I mentioned, we add in the threat of severe weather as well. Pay attention to your local forecast. We got a lot of heavy precipitation heading your way. What about the rest of the nation? How's it look? Let's talk to Will Annen in the studio.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jim. We'll show you our developing storm system over the eastern part of the country, and a lot of heavy rainfall still in store for the southeast. It's going to be spreading on towards the north. Here's your ribbon of heavier snow from Nebraska, Iowa, and Wisconsin, eventually across Michigan, too. Chicagoland, you're going to be looking at the thick of the snowfall as well. It's going to be coming down rather hard a little bit later on today, and definitely for tonight. Look at the northeastern part of the country today. Looks like a wintry mix developing over central and southern New England. To the north, it'll be just plain snow, but heavy rain down towards the south, with temperatures in the 40s and 50s and 60s. It's going to be another mild day here, but you'll be looking at much colder weather for the upcoming weekend. The southeast already this morning from, let's say, Gainesville to Atlanta to Birmingham to Montgomery to Tupelo, Mississippi. Heavy rain has been the story. Much more to come during the next 24 hours, especially tonight and early morning tomorrow. That could be the heaviest of the rain of all, along with some more severe weather. And highest days 60s and 70s. But on the horizon right now, some 30s and 40s that'll be over sweeping the entire southeast within the next couple of days. Midwest cold. It's going to be snowy today. Could be looking at some heavier snow approaching Chicago a little bit later on. And also over southeastern Wisconsin, too. We're seeing Kenosha, let's say Milwaukee, heading up towards the lakefront, all the way up towards Sheboygan. Could be looking at some heavier snowfall there with highs teens and 20s. A stiff wind. The wind chills are going to be low. It's going to be a raw day. Western part of the country dry, but it will be windy. Some more snows around Denver during the day with highs mostly in the 20s. Not bad in California. The weekend weather picture Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It turns very cold over the southeast. And once we get by that heavier snow for the northeast on Thursday and Friday, the entire country by the end of the weekend should be mostly dry and very quiet. Our skiers' forecast is coming up next.
Remember, go for the cup. Remember, go for the cup.
Coffee?
When you go for the cup, make sure it's 100% Colombian coffee. It's the world's cup.
This just in. Heavy flooding expected in some areas.
Next time, check the Weather Channel. We have 65 meteorologists using exclusive Weather Star satellite technology, tailoring forecasts right down to your neighborhood. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel.
Look, the meeting starts at 2. That means we got to be in Toledo by 1:45.
Well, look, we're not going to make it.
Hold on, you turn here, it takes us right into Toledo. My man Jim, saving the day.
You're sure this is right?
Oh, yeah, I go this way all the time.
Traveling's an adventure. Where you stay shouldn't be. Fairfield Inn by Marriott.
Fairfield Inn by Marriott, now with over 200 locations nationwide.
Bud Tatum, a disaster volunteer, saved a man from bleeding to death at the Oklahoma City bombing. Connie Sessoms keeps a child alive by giving blood every 56 days. Antoinette Giordano wrote a check that kept a family off the street. The people of the Red Cross are known for quick action and acts of goodness. Now it's your turn to act. Give us your time, support, and blood, because help can't wait.
Skiers, we're going to take a look at the western part of the country right now, all the way from Breckenridge to Squaw Valley, California, to Copper Mountain, Colorado. Everybody reporting powdery conditions. You've seen some tremendous snows during the last couple of days. In the Sierra Nevada of California, some spots 30 to 40 inches of new snowfall, and some spots even more than that. And you can see everybody reporting powder to packed powdery conditions. The forecast coming up for the next few days, there's going to be some more snowfall today for the Colorado Rockies. But generally, we're looking at a ridge of high pressure building across the west, which means sunnier weather and drier weather as well.
You've always made a great team. Together growing, dreaming, caring, and sharing the rewards along the way. Park Avenue. For the comfort, for the luxury, for the quality. Congratulations, you've earned it. Buick Park Avenue.
Working toward the weekend? Watch the Weekend Outlook to find out what the temperatures will be and if there's a chance of rain. Only on the Weather Channel.
Skiers, call 1-900-WEATHER, 95 cents a minute for current slope conditions, trail openings, and weather forecasts from the Weather Channel.
Now there's a hearing aid from Miracle Ear, so advanced, it's virtually invisible. Now you see it? Now you don't. It's the Mirage hearing aid from Miracle Ear. Call now. We'll send you these free booklets that tell you how the virtually invisible Mirage may help you hear better. If you call 1-800-340-4100 right now, we'll also send you this free videotape, Hearing Loss and You. It'll show you the most common causes and solutions for hearing loss. And we'll include the free booklets about the Mirage, hearing aid from Miracle Ear. You see, Mirage is our most advanced hearing aid that fits completely into the ear canal. It's not only small, it's virtually invisible. Call Miracle Ear at 1-800-340-4100. We'll send you important new information about hearing loss and the virtually invisible Mirage.
It's amazing. I know he's wearing it, but I can't see it.
So call Miracle Ear at 1-800-340-4100. Call now.
more about the weather around the world and around your neighborhood. And when you're away from your television, the Weather Channel forecast is also available from the following. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
As you look at aviation weather this morning, pilots, we're going to talk about some turbulent weather over the southeastern corner of the country. Could be looking at more severe thunderstorms today. Heavy rainfall right now from Atlanta to Birmingham and covering much of the Tennessee Valley. So flights in and around the southeast, you could expect some delays today. You will be expecting delays with more severe weather developing later on. Thanks to this area low pressure trying to organize over Texas right now. As that one begins to swing its way on eastward, do expect to see a good deal of more turbulent weather over much of the southeast and mid-south later on today. Look at these IFR conditions this morning. Due to snow throughout the middle part of the country, and of course because of thunderstorms with the deep south, and also because of some icy weather over much of New England, that'll be persisting right through tomorrow. It's going to get even messier there. Winds aloft, not bad at 5,000 feet or 10,000 feet. Let's go up to flight level, and we'll check on some of those winds now, exceeding 120 knots, heading towards New England. Our 5-day forecast talks about big changes next.
The man was an animal. Jeffrey? All through lunch, there's bacon flying this way, cheese flying that way.
Hardee's introduces the ultimate bacon cheeseburger.
Didn't just eat it, he attacked it.
Sizzling bacon, melted Swiss and American cheese. It's all burger. All mine.
So what'd you do then? Took him to a chick flick. That's some burger. Tonight, shopping.
The new ultimate bacon cheeseburger from Hardee's.
So what did you have for lunch today?
Enjoy the ultimate omelet biscuit at breakfast tomorrow for just 99 cents.
Try the ultimate cheeseburger and the ultimate omelet biscuit.
WKTL Weather Watch reports a possibility of snow today.
Next time, check the Weather Channel for early warnings on weather conditions 24 hours a day. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
This 5-day business planner is sponsored by Kelly Services, the first name in staffing for 50 years.
It is 20 past. Thanks a lot for joining us on the Weather Channel Wednesday morning, March the 6th. We have some updates for you, not the least of which is the pair of tornado watches in effect over the southern states, Alabama, Mississippi, small part of west central Georgia. We have some nasty thunderstorms in the south, too, particularly in Montgomery County, right here, Montgomery, Alabama. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect till 6 o'clock Central Time this morning. Additional thunder showers and heavy rain moving into the Atlanta and Birmingham metro area. And back to the west, another couple lines of thunderstorms beginning to develop. So it is going to be a volatile day in the south. That is one of the weather scenarios we're going to keep you up to date on for the daylight hours. So stick with us. Well, we also have a developing storm. The ingredients are getting together. Of course, already this morning, the warm, moist air flowing north from the Gulf of Mexico. Cold polar air is dropping south, and right along the boundary of those air masses, contrasting air masses, low pressure is going to develop and scoot off to the northeast. So beginning today, but more so late tonight and Thursday into Friday, look for thunderstorms, some severe in the south, rain for the mid-Atlantic, rain for New York and Boston, but farther inland, say in Buffalo, the upper Hudson Valley, back to Pittsburgh, Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and Kansas City. It is going to be definitely a wintry mix in store for you folks. Let's go to the weather map. We can see the double-barreled low pressure midday today. One low is going to scoot east, increasing the wintry mix in upstate New York and central New England by late today. The second low begins to develop. Eventually, the first one will die out, and as energy comes out of the Rockies, the second low will take shape, intensify, and by this time Thursday morning we'll be located in East Tennessee. West and north of the storm, temperatures tumble. Pretty widespread area of snow, sleet, and freezing rain, including Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, and St. Louis. Meanwhile, south and east of the front and the low-pressure center, Thursday morning could be a very volatile morning again in the south, as severe thunderstorms are not entirely out of the question. 24 hours from now, pretty dry through the nation's midsection, and high pressure develops in the west. And after all that snow, the 4-foot snowfall in the Sierra Nevada of California, it looks like as we head towards the weekend, the western third of the nation will be high and dry. Not so in the east. Very wet snowfall. This is particularly late today and tonight, the 6 to 12 inches near St. Louis up to about Springfield. And snow will become heavier tomorrow in western Pennsylvania. Winter storm watch has been posted. Parts of upstate New York and New England will see snow increase after sunrise on Thursday, and it could become heavy in some spots and an icy mess in others. Big cities more than likely will have mostly rain, as I mentioned. High temperatures today, single digits, but some 90s in the lower Rio Grande Valley. How about that? 80s today in Miami, Tampa, and Orlando. Well into the 70s in Atlanta, Birmingham, Jackson, and New Orleans. It stays mild in the southeast tonight because, of course, this is the wedge of mild air ahead of the front where winds will be out of the south. But as winds shift, temperatures drop, and they're especially cold for this time of the year tomorrow morning over the northern and central plains with readings 20 below zero in some spots, North Dakota and northern Minnesota. So we have a lot of cold air poised in the northern plains. Will it head south? Well, sure looks like it. In fact, by Friday, 30s. For high temperatures, Little Rock, Montgomery, Atlanta, Greenville, Spartanburg, Charlotte, and Winston-Salem, not to mention Washington, D.C. It's going to be a cold start to the weekend and only slightly less cold on Sunday over the eastern half of the nation, while the west is quite mild. So again, we have a major storm tomorrow in the east with snow, ice, severe thunderstorms, Carolinas and Georgia. Storm moves quickly offshore, though, so the weather settles down in a big hurry on Friday. And the weekend looks quiet, coast to coast, with the best chance of rain by Sunday, we think, around Seattle and Portland. Stay with us.
Over, and for those of you still at home, it's a great day to be out on the go.
Don't you miss using all the skills and experience you've acquired over the years? We thought so. Call 1-800-YES-KELLY to put them back to work. Kelly Services, your employment source.
For more information about Kelly Services, call 1-800-YES-KELLY today.
21 years from now, 3,486 bowls of instant Quaker oatmeal later, David will be honored as NFL Player of the Year. In a short speech, he will say,
Thanks, Mom.
Quaker oatmeal, oh, what those oats can do.
Nothing ever happens to me. I'm never lost. I'm never late. My tires are never flat. My battery's never dead. Drunks never drive on this street.
In this world, you can either count on your luck,
Weirdos never stop at this light.
or you can count on a Motorola cellular phone. The more you need a cellular phone, the more you need Motorola.
I'm 62. Can I still help prevent osteoporosis?
It's never too late for Caltrate. Caltrate Plus has the extra calcium you need, plus 6 nutrients essential for healthy bones, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
This school day forecast is sponsored by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. National radars very active, showers and storms, some severe in the south, a steady rain in the mid-Atlantic. We get back into the upper Midwest and Central Plains, fairly widespread snow this morning from near Green Bay back to Denver and Grand Junction. So moms and dads, well, the kids are going to need their rain gear in parts of the south this morning, no doubt about that. While later today, a wintry mix develops in upstate New York, also parts of the Great Lakes region, and continues through the Central Plains. But California will dry out. Looks like some sunshine for a change today. Mildest air in the south will be a spring-like day. Atlanta, Birmingham to Montgomery, Houston, most of Florida, mid-Atlantic quite mild too. Chilly in the northeast and rather cold through the nation's midsection with teens in Minneapolis and Omaha. We'll be back. We're going to the update desk in just a moment.
We know you're out there! Come and get me! Why, he could be anywhere, Sheriff. Rush him out.
Kellogg's Honey Roasted Pecan Temptations with crunchy flakes, golden honey, and roasted pecans.
I'm coming
temptation cereal. The trouble is, it's just too tempting.
The man was an animal. Jeffrey? All through lunch. There's bacon flying this way, cheese flying that way.
Hardee's introduces the ultimate bacon cheeseburger.
He didn't just eat it, he attacked it.
Sizzling bacon, melted Swiss and American cheese. It's all burger. All mine.
So what'd you do then?
Took him to a chick flick.
That's some burger.
Tonight, shopping.
The new ultimate bacon cheeseburger from Hardee's.
So what did you have for lunch today?
Enjoy the ultimate omelet biscuit at breakfast tomorrow for just 99 cents.
Try the ultimate cheeseburger and the ultimate omelet biscuit.
Watch international weather, now 42 minutes after every hour, only on the Weather Channel. And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood, only on the Weather Channel.
This is a special edition of WeatherScope, coverage of severe weather 96.
Good morning. Thanks for tuning into the Weather Channel as we continue to cover the next series of winter storms. This one, though, adding a few more facets in the fact that we've got severe weather as well, and that's already been going on this morning. And we will also have not only the Northeast affected by snow, but the Midwest as well. Chicago, St. Louis, Cleveland, Detroit. You all have the potential for some heavy, wet snow coming your way. Let's go ahead and talk about what we got with this storm. First of all, the current map. We can set up an already busy start to the day, and you can see here our current map showing it all. Our frontal system along, of course, and ahead of it, to the north of it, the cold air building down in from Canada, and to the south, we have the rain. And we've had some very, very heavy rain across the south in the tune of about 3 to 5 inches. We've already had severe weather in parts of Dallas County, Alabama this morning. Damage has been reported there. Franklin County got nailed at about 1 o'clock in the morning last night. Trees and power lines are there, damage there. In Mississippi, we've had reports of mobile homes that have been turned over. So this is severe weather season underway now. But not only that, we still have the old snow to contend with, and you can see it off to the north here, expanding east toward Des Moines, St. Louis, and Chicago for later on this afternoon and tonight. Again, in the south, you can't really tell from the current analysis, but there are a couple of lines of thunderstorms that we're dealing with right now, a couple squall lines, and they continue to pull through the south. You can see them a little bit better on the satellite, this area in through here across the south, and this other one back through Mississippi. Both of these lines continue to not only produce very, very heavy rain, but also severe weather. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning out now for Montgomery County in Alabama, which is down and through here. You can't really see much at this angle, but I was just looking at the Doppler, and for sure we have a pretty intense little squall line moving right on through with a thunderstorm cell, and we've seen winds gusting to 40, 45 miles an hour. Look at the lightning data. Check it out down around Montgomery County. Big-time lightning down through there. As this goes into motion, you'll see maybe a couple of distinct areas here. One, and then number 2 back in through here. Right now, heavy rain moving in through Atlanta with the rush hour. Lots of thunder and lightning for your rush hour this morning. Roads are already wet from what has been 1 to 2 inches of rain last night in the Atlanta metro area, so please drive carefully. Our tornado watches are mainly south and west of Atlanta, down through Columbus, Montgomery again. You're in it as the thunderstorms, the most intense part of the line, we think, will move through Alabama and southwestern Georgia through the late morning hours. That's why you're in the box. But that line will expand northeast during the day today. So in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, be on the lookout. But there will also be a new area of low pressure developing. And as this pulls on to the east, the atmosphere will once again become unstable, where we've already seen severe weather, and we think we'll be right back in it again. Not to mention, you don't get severe weather. With the next low that develops, you are going to get the heavy rain. That's why we got flood watches out all over the place across Alabama up through Ohio and Tennessee. And look at the rain that's already fallen in through here. Some of the Doppler radar estimates are around 5 inches. So let's just go in plus or minus an inch for error's sake, and you're in here. You're in the 3 to 4 inch range. And we're not just talking about Birmingham and Centerville. We're talking about the Tennessee River, and we're talking up along the Ohio River as well, where these amounts have been in the tune of about 3 to 4 inches. And there will be more rain, heavy rain tonight, locally 1 to 3 inches possible in these same areas that have already had the heavy rain. So this is just part 2. Part 3 up to the north and through here, and we're talking about the snow. Let's check out Rapid City, South Dakota, and what it was like when the snow came down yesterday. Temperatures only 12 degrees during the day yesterday, and the snow fell throughout the day, adding about 2 inches to the 8 that was already on the ground. It was cold there, as I mentioned, temperature only 12, but it is today where the snow and the blowing snow and the wind chills that get down around 10 to 30 below will make you feel even more awful. So it's not going to be a pretty day in Rapid City. Compliments of the weather behind the front. And we are going to see this cold behind the front all the way into the south and all the way as far south as Florida. So that's something we're looking at as well. Let's go back and talk about phases 3 and 4 with this particular storm. And of course, we start things off with the radar across the upper Midwest. And you can see the snow, which is breaking out across Iowa. The first wave of low pressure really isn't doing much with regards to the snow, but we do think this band of snow will expand towards Chicago today and become a little heavier, we think, once we get into tonight and tomorrow morning. So again, this will be our snow expanding north and eastward as cold air undercuts the moisture in New England and the warm air flows gently over the top of it. We are going to have a little freezing rain and a little freezing drizzle, especially this morning in the Merrimack Valley of New Hampshire and Mass, and also down into the Boston area. But it will really be the second phase of this storm that'll get you. And we're talking about some very heavy snow developing back through St. Louis and Chicago tonight. And this will pull north and eastward and southward as well as we work our way through Thursday. So here's what we're looking at. Through 7 a.m. on Thursday, St. Louis, you're just to the south, the heavy snow band. Looks like up through Springfield into Fort Wayne, even Detroit. All those areas will get into some of this heavier snow. And by the time Thursday rolls around, you can just extrapolate that heavy snow on north and eastward across New York State, across southwest PA. So Pittsburgh, you got to watch this. Cincinnati, you got to keep an eye on it as well. And some of the rain and heavy rain that we'll get over Kentucky will change on over to snow as we work our way on in time. So we got a busy pattern here. Here's the first wave. I mean, you can kind of see the jet stream carving down and through here. The first wave is moving northeast now. That's what we're dealing with this morning. But this next wave, as it pushes south, will redevelop low pressure. And as this one pulls northeast, this is what's going to happen. Let me show you the maps that we've got here for you as we show you Wednesday afternoon. Here's the secondary low, pulling northeast, severe, heavy rain again. Snow breaks out heavy tonight. Chicago again, Detroit, into Cleveland. Watch out through tomorrow morning. And then as we get on into the Thursday afternoon criteria, heavy snow falling around Pittsburgh, Rochester, up into New England, with severe going on ahead of the cold front possibly, and heavy rain in New York City and Boston. You're right on the fine line for what could be ice and also rain. Of course, behind that, we bring in the bitterly cold air and the wind chills for Friday and also on into Saturday. So really a tremendous storm here, and the fact that it's got so many elements with it, and we're going to be followed by unseasonably cold air. And in the south, with everything coming out and blooming now, that may harm a few of the trees and shrubs. So obviously gardeners have to keep that in mind. So a multifaceted storm, and until Friday afternoon rolls around, we're going to be dealing with all these elements. Stay with us. We'll keep you posted. Let's go back to the studio now for the latest on the forecast.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Let's begin in the west, where the weather situation is changing after the heavy snows and the heavy rains of the last couple of days. High pressure moving back into California and Nevada. Sunshine for a change. San Francisco and Reno, down to L.A. and to Phoenix, too. 4 feet of snow, by the way, in the Sierra Nevada over the last 36 hours. But the next couple of days certainly will be high and dry, we think, west of the Continental Divide for the most part. Jim described, of course, what's happening in the east, and it is a rather volatile weather pattern. Today, indeed, we've got a variety of precipitation in the northeast. There's not much at the moment in terms of significant precipitation, but later today we expect the rain to be increasing near D.C., Philadelphia, and Baltimore, as well as New York City. A wintry mix, Boston, Hartford, Worcester, over to Albany, into the Niagara frontier. And Pittsburgh, you'll have rain initially, but overnight tonight and during the day on Thursday, as another low center develops, cold air comes back in, you could be looking at a changeover initially to freezing rain and sleet, and then over to snow, heavy at times during the day tomorrow. Detroit, you've got a wintry mix on the way too, and in the northern suburbs, between now and 7 p.m., 1 to 3 inches of accumulation up towards Troy and Pontiac. Rainfall could become moderately heavy. Roanoke, Richmond, and D.C. with up to 3/4 of an inch by 7 p.m. this evening. Look at the contrast in temperatures. 20s today, Watertown and Burlington. Low 30s at best, we think, around the Capital District. Over to Boston, maybe 40s in New York, 50s Philadelphia and Lancaster, 60s today Richmond, and 70s around the Tidewater, as well as the Outer Banks of North Carolina. It's going to be wet and thundery in the south. Severe weather threat, without a doubt. Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. And another threat of severe weather, perhaps a more substantial one in the southeast late tonight as a sharp cold front moves in. Again, a big contrast in temperature from the 30s to the 80s. Snow developing in Chicago, Madison, Des Moines, and Cedar Rapids today, while a fairly steady rain continues in the Ohio Valley. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
Have you heard the most recent news about those oats? Well, if you've been watching TV or reading the papers lately, you could hardly miss it. Clinical research shows that diets low in saturated fat and cholesterol and high in sources of fiber like Quaker oatmeal may help reduce the risk of heart disease. You've always known it was good for you, but it may be even better than you thought, which is why Quaker says,
Quaker oatmeal. Oh, what those oats can do.
Weather update. A little breezy today, so wear a light jacket.
Next time, check the Weather Channel. Our severe weather watch tracks storms with the most advanced satellite technology available. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
And now, your local forecast. Accurate, up-to-date weather information for your neighborhood. Only on the Weather Channel.
destruction. They bring the unexpected.
We lost everything. The volunteers go home and it's just you, throwing away your memories.
Floods can strike anywhere, anytime.
I never thought it could happen to us.
The National Flood Insurance Program can help. We can't replace your memories, but we can help you build new ones. For facts on flood insurance, call your insurance company, agent, or this number.
Protect yourself against flooding. Call now for information about flood insurance.
Everyone wants to be the Cadbury Bunny, because only he brings delicious Cadbury cream eggs. While others may keep trying, no bunny knows Easter better than him.
Working toward the weekend? Watch the Weekend Outlook to find out what the temperatures will be and if there's a chance of rain. Only on the Weather Channel.
Time now is 43 past. Thanks a lot for joining us. It is the point in the hour where we look at international weather. In this time, we check out Europe, which is basically in pretty good shape today. There's one storm, Eastern Mediterranean, affecting Turkey with rain and snow. Northwest Africa is unsettled as an upper low moves into Morocco. Southern Portugal's had some rain, southern Spain too, and the northwest part of the Sahara is rather unsettled as well. Basically, though, as we look ahead into the forecast map, that doesn't change much because although it's pretty active here in North Africa, high pressure dominates the rest of mainland Europe, from Madrid to Paris to Toulouse to Berlin and Frankfurt over to the United Kingdom. The Scandinavian region should have mostly fair to partly cloudy skies tomorrow with some chilly but not unusually cold late winter conditions, 20s and 30s. Athens 55 on Thursday, London about 50, 52 in Rome, and 28 in Stockholm.
Winter frost you. Chill out. See your GM Goodwrench service dealer today. Or call 1-800-GM-USE-US for one near you. We want your business.
Prepare yourself. Call the Weather Channel. Call 1-900-WEATHER, 95 cents a minute.
So many girls and boys come into this world under these hopeless conditions. This is barely a place to sleep or eat, and it's certainly not a place to dream.
about the weather around the world and around your neighborhood. The Weather Channel. No place on Earth has better weather.
This school day forecast is sponsored by Kellogg's, the best to you each morning. Looking at national radar, very active weather in the east, particularly in the southeast where we have strong thunderstorms rumbling across Alabama and Georgia this morning. There's light to moderate snow falling. Wisconsin, Iowa, southern Minnesota, back to about Denver and Fort Collins, Colorado. Back to the scenario in the southeast. Here's the tornado watch. It remains in effect. Covers cities and towns like Dothan, Enterprise, Alabama, Montgomery, and Columbus in west central parts of the state of Georgia. So what a volatile weather scenario in the southeast today, and that will be the case again probably tomorrow morning at this time too. Moms and dads, it looks like the school kids will have an unsettled day at the bus stop early this morning, southeast, mid-Atlantic where there's some rain, and late today as the kids are coming home, a wintry mix will redevelop over the interior northeast and southern Great Lakes. The mildest air today, springtime conditions in the south, 70s and 80s, but winter holds on for the central and northern plains with single digits, teens, and 20s. Well, coming up next, your winter weather update. We'll cover the cold, the snow, the ice, and the chance of severe weather. Stick around.
Crispix for me? Thank you.
Elizabeth says Crispix won't get soggy and melt.
We'll see. Starts off crispy. So far, you're right, Elizabeth, but still crispy. Okay, but reality will soon set in.
Kellogg's Crispix cereal. Delicious corn and rice that stays crispy to the end.
Last bite, gonna be mushy, soggy. Hey, it's still crispy.
More Crispix, Daddy?
Thanks. You're a doll.
You too, Elizabeth.
Relax. You are now entering a stress-free zone. A free breakfast will be prepared for you daily. You will rest in a comfortable two-room suite. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Unwind with complimentary evening beverages and enjoy yourself here, because eventually you'll have to go back out there. Embassy Suites, twice the hotel. Call 1-800-EMBASSY.
Welcome back to the Weather Channel. Just in time for the winter weather update. Let's see what's going to be happening for this middle and second half of the week. In the west, we can tell you the weather's settling down as high pressure builds back in. But here in the eastern half of the nation, we have the contrast of air masses. Cold polar air coming down from the north, warm, moist air flowing out of the Gulf of Mexico. And right along the dividing line between those two air masses, there is a front. And as low pressure comes out of the Rockies today, a new low, that is in the upper levels, pocket of energy, new low pressure at the surface will form near the front in East Texas and then take a track off to the northeast late tonight and during the day on Thursday night too, and into early Friday. And that means some snow for you folks, Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis to Indianapolis, Pittsburgh eventually. After some rain today, we'll see a mix tonight, and then you'll have snow, maybe heavy at times tomorrow. Same story in Buffalo and for the upper Hudson Valley, as well as the interior of southern and central New England. Rain and severe thunderstorms are also in the weather picture with this developing storm system. Right now, things are fairly disorganized with a couple of ripples of low pressure along the front. This first one will die out later on this afternoon, while a second main low begins to take shape back in Arkansas. And it will be this low pressure center that heads to the northeast into East Tennessee by this time tomorrow morning. And by Thursday afternoon, we have low pressure near D.C. with a pretty good band of sleet, freezing rain and snow west and north of the storm center. Rain, moderate to heavy at times. That may include New York City, Philadelphia, Trenton, Washington, D.C., and ahead of the front, severe thunderstorms are not out of the question from early Thursday morning through late Thursday, eastern Carolinas and the northern half of Florida. Just briefly in the nation's midsection, the weather quiets down, and after the first half of the week stormy in the west, the second half will be high and dry as the weather stabilizes and the high pressure, tranquil conditions build back into the west. Well, today there will be some snowy travel in the Rockies, but that scenario, the snowy, slushy highways, spread east and north. Tonight, Chicago, Milwaukee, Des Moines will be affected. Southern New England, an icy mix. The northern suburban areas north of New York City In the lower Hudson Valley, may have some travel troubles late today and tonight as that wintry mix begins to increase. And heavy snows will begin to take shape, we think, near St. Louis, Springfield, and Champaign, Illinois. Temperatures for Tuesday. Highs yesterday, 74 in Atlanta. 11 was the high in International Falls. How about 62 in New York City? Now, most of the east will be turning much colder as the week progresses. Here's a look ahead to Saturday. It's going to be a cold start and a cold finish to this upcoming weekend. Well, let's take a look at today's forecast. And this forecast is sponsored by Ames Lawn and Garden Tools. Quality tools for every season. Reviewing those forecast maps again, let's take you through to this afternoon. Double-barreled low pressure along a front. Contrasted air masses in here, south of it, mild and wet. North of the front, an icy mix and/or snow takes shape. Here in the east, Hudson and Mohawk Valley, a wintry mix. New York City, some rain develops. Same for D.C., Philadelphia, Harrisburg, and Pittsburgh. Big contrast in temperatures.
Luckily, no bowl games played in Kansas City. We have snow in your forecast here, and heading into Chicago by later in the day as well. The rainy weather wrapping through the southeast, and some of that will be heavy. Some of the thunder shower activity, even some strong thunderstorms could erupt in the afternoon, especially in parts of the south. And we do have our share of wind coming through the west. And for the most part, it's a mild wind blowing in through the west with offshore winds. It'll be a warm day, although it may cause a few problems if you got a high-profile vehicle. Probably the biggest problem we're dealing with weather-wise may be the fog out there. There's a big area of fog across the country. We're talking about hundreds of cities with visibilities less than a mile across the country. So there are some problems as we head into 1996, and stay tuned to the Weather Channel. We will have a complete forecast for you for the first 5 days of 1996. And the East Coast, you could be bracing for another winter storm. Stay tuned.
Presenting the ultimate tire for your sport utility vehicle, the Michelin LTX. Michelin's technological advances in sidewall and tread design give it a smoother, quieter ride than you might ever expect from a 4x4 tire. Yet it's rugged enough, tough enough, Michelin enough to get you through anything. The LTX series from Michelin.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you, because so much is riding